Hello and welcome once again to The Blueprints. This is Canada's Conservative Podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Schmale, Member of Parliament for Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes, with new content for you every single Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment on this program. Tell your friends they can download it on platforms like CastBox, iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. You name it, it is out there. On today's show, grocery prices up 142% in 10 years. We're going to talk about why that's happening and how we can fix it. Plus much, much more with Carol and Steve, the newly elected Member of Parliament for Long Range Mountains in the beautiful province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. Pleasure to be here.
I wish it was a better topic, though.
Yes.
Good to have you, but better topic.
Yes, absolutely.
So Daily Bread Food Bank in Toronto estimates they might have upwards of 4 million visits this year. 4 million visits. And we saw not too long ago that first time food bank usage, someone going to the food bank for the first time ever was way up.
Yeah.
This is extraordinary cost of living crisis that we are seeing.
Absolutely.
And the man with the plan, Mark Carney, said he was going to fix it.
Yeah.
That was July 21st. I think it was the date he set for himself. But they've done nothing but go up.
Yeah. And I think a couple of things on this. He said that we could judge him by the prices at the grocery store. So he sort of set that evaluation for himself. The food bank use, I mean, the numbers in Toronto are staggering. But look, even in small towns where they're run by volunteer organizations, I've met with them. And the issue that they say is that the food banks are put in place for short-term solutions for people where they come in and they help meet the need in emergency and crisis situations. But what's happening is because people just can't get on their feet, they can't manage to pay their bills or feed themselves, this has turned into a reliance on this service. And so you're getting a lot of these people, volunteer organizations, they're just running out of resources and they're exhausted, and they're finding that their efforts are, it's like being on a hamster wheel and trying so hard to fill this need. But I think ultimately this is the byproduct of a bigger problem, and that is that you've got people that one time could feed themselves, they no longer can, and this is the result of that.
And we continue to see this massive debt and deficits just growing every single year under this government. And of course, we'll see the budget in just a few weeks, and that'll be interesting itself. If we listen to the parliamentary budget officer, we're going to be in for quite the rude awakening, unfortunately, that Carney wasn't the man with the plan. He is actually worse than Justin Trudeau.
Yes, absolutely. And he was, again, this was a big expectation that he set for himself, how he was going to be more fiscally responsible. And we're seeing that that's not actually the case. And this is an inflationary tax that's baked into the cost of goods. And so we get a little bit of pushback on this sometimes, but this is there. And even though you may not be seeing it when you look at your grocery bill on your sales receipt, these are baked in costs on the cost of our food. And I think that's what's important for Canadians to know, because liberals will say, well, it's not a sales tax. It's not an actual tax, but these are baked in taxes that we're drawing awareness about.
Oh, absolutely. That's the thing you don't see, and the Liberals are sneaky about that. They know they can't do the direct taxes, do it behind the scenes. Okay, let's cue up cut one, where we have our leader, Pierre Poilievre, talking about some of the hidden taxes that you just talked about. Play cut one.
Nowhere is this more true than when it comes to food prices, which are in a total and absolute crisis. Prices are rising faster today than they were when Mark Carney took office, promising to lower them. And why is this? Well, because the Liberals have 4 sneaky grocery taxes that are embedded in everything you buy. First, the industrial carbon tax on fertilizer and farm equipment drives up the cost for our producers. Second, they're gradually raising a sneaky new carbon tax on gas and diesel, which will rise to 17 cents a litre, the same level of the previous Liberal carbon tax.
And it's an interesting strategy. The Liberals will create the shiny new government program to fix a program or a policy that they had in place that created this problem in the first place, right? It's just one thing after another. Bureaucracies get bigger, spending in Ottawa gets larger, and Canadians end up paying the price in higher taxes, inflationary spending. It's just this vicious circle that the Liberals have put us in.
Yeah, and the more costs that any of our businesses or our food producers have ultimately end up coming out of the pockets of Canadians. And this is essentially what we're seeing now. And also, I mean, our food prices are rising much faster than they are in the US, because sometimes you'll hear, well, you know, this is a international problem or a national problem. Like, this is squarely on the shoulders of the management of our government.
Absolutely.
Right now.
It could be so much better. And we could actually allow our farmers to do what they do best. We can allow the market to take hold and push into the space competition.
Yes.
The grocery stores don't fear government because they're usually at the table. It's the small business owners that are on the menu.
Absolutely.
Right? The big corporations, they don't mind the next regulation or a carbon tax or something like that, because they know they can pass it on to their consumers, and there will be no competition coming up behind them to try to lower prices. And so it's an interesting dynamic that the Liberals have set up.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, just another point as well on these taxes and the impact that we see in Newfoundland and Labrador. 80% of our goods and services are shipped to us. And so they're coming across on the Marine Atlantic Ferry. A large percentage of our population is a senior population, and they're on a fixed income, which is not keeping up with the cost of inflation. So this is a serious issue for me, and you hear me speak about it a lot because I get it a lot coming through my office as people are calling me and just sort of in desperate situations. And so it's a very important issue to me.
And when people can't afford to eat, that means cutbacks have already been made in family budgets, right? You may not be going out for dinner as much. You might not be going out to the movies or an amusement park, or heck, even take a vacation, right?
Yes.
All those things are being cut back, which means the economy
Absolutely.
starts to take a hit at that point as well.
Yeah. And small businesses, I mean, in smaller rural areas, they're the heartbeat of our communities. And I've talked to a lot of these small business owners. That's my background. That's what I come from. And I mean, they're having to make some really difficult decisions. They can't hire people like they used to be able to hire people. They can't invest and grow in their business because the cost of financing has gotten so high. They can't compete. I mean, it's become a very difficult climate for small business owners to thrive in. And when there's less disposable income, ultimately, they're the ones that pay the price.
And when we create wealth, or one way we definitely created wealth in the past, up until 2015, really, when it started to get more challenging, it used to be those entrepreneurs. It used to be people taking risk and creating the next great product or service that people want to buy or invest in, or create jobs and expand. But that kind of spirit, I think, has been just beaten out of Canadians lately. They're trying. There's lots of people who want to.
Absolutely.
As you just pointed out, there's too many roadblocks.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great point that you raised too, because if you have to spend all your time, energy, and effort trying to figure out how you're going to make payroll, how you're going to just get to the next month, you're constantly looking at your cash flow. How can you innovate? How can you create? How can you come up with the next best product to bring to market? Right? So we are really dampening the spirit of our entrepreneurs. And we don't want to live in a country like that. Conservatives are the only ones that are going to bring that hope and that great spirit back to our communities that I truly believe in is one of the greatest things about this country.
Thank you for bringing that up, because, some of the complaints we often hear in conversations in passing or directly is that a lot of our main streets, or even, our towns, are looking the same, right? You might have, 4 or 5 different fast food restaurants in the chains, and there's very little, that uniqueness that small towns used to have. But to your point, these small businesses are being run out because they can't be taking the next step or thinking about it because they're just treading water or trying to keep afloat.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're losing their hope.
Yeah.
They're losing their hope that they can continue to keep going. And then at some point they say, well, you know what? A guaranteed salary is better than taking risk in the next product, because I can't support my family on that. I hear those stories a lot.
That's a good point. We didn't even talk about the amount of people taking risk, to putting a lot on the line to start a business, and then being hit over the head over and over again by usually government policy or taxes or rules and regulation, making it so tough
Yes.
to make some money off of.
Increase in payroll
Yeah.
taxes. And then, I hear stories. Well, actually, I had somebody in a community who was getting ready to bid on this big job. The entire community is waiting for them to make this move, to invest and move forward, going to employ a ton of people. And he had a CRA issue hanging over his head. He could not get in touch with anybody in that office. It was a very, very long time before he could put this issue to bed. And I mean, they just lose their courage, right? Yeah. And that wasn't just about this gentleman and his family. This is about a full community when you're talking about communities of 200 or 300 people. So, it's a tough climate out there for entrepreneurs and small business owners.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many troubles with Canada Revenue Agency. My goodness, that goes on to housing.
Yes.
Right. So food, the necessities, shelter.
Yes.
Shelter's insane right now. We have a weird dynamic where we have lots of people trying to buy. We had people who bought during the pandemic, so they bought high, but now it's kind of a buyer's market now. So prices are dropping. Some people are finding themselves kind of underwater a bit on the value of their home, what it's worth now, continuing what they used to pay for. Like, it's a weird dynamic, and builders can't seem to afford to build because labor and material are so much to keep the price affordable. This is quite the mess the Liberals have created.
Yeah, so that's my background. I've been in housing. I've been a real estate broker for many years. I've looked at statistics. I've also done some consulting work in this space. And so in a lot of markets, especially like where I'm from in Newfoundland and Labrador, supply and demand, typically the cost of a house will get to a place where it's probably cheaper to build, as an example. And so the supply of new housing often, helps to stabilize the market. But what we're seeing now is that the price to buy has gotten so high, but then the price to build has also gotten so high. And there is a ceiling to that, and that is a person's income. So I've been in the business for a long time, and even in the smallest markets, we are seeing the negative impacts of this. And so I'll give you an example. The supply of houses that are on the market right now are so low, and that is simply because we would have, say, move-up buyers where, you live in that home for a little while, then you build your dream home. Well, they can't afford to build that dream home. So we've got demand, and we don't have the supply to keep up with it. So that obviously puts a very big upward pressure then on the pricing. And one of the wonderful things about Newfoundland and Labrador is that you could afford a home there, and that is running away from us. And we cannot lose that in some of these rural areas, because that's kind of the trade-off, right? Like, you don't get Walmart on every corner, but you get a nice affordable home and a nice place to live. And so that's really what I'm fighting for, is that affordability to come back to these rural areas in Newfoundland and Labrador. It's a serious, serious issue that the government needs to address. So, I mean, we had a great policy. We had the removal of GST on all homes, which the Liberals did refabricate, but they didn't go far enough. And I'll tell you why. The reason why they didn't is because new construction for first-time home buyers is out of reach. Yeah, whereas if you open it up to the full market, well, now it's a serious policy that, that people are going to start to find ways to be innovative and be in the residential market, because we've just made it more affordable for them, which increases the supply. So we love that they take our policies that we believe in, but they just didn't go far enough with that.
So now we look at the trajectory. So we're talking about the progression through the real estate market. Let's go to the youth unemployment rate. Let's go right to the start of things.
Yeah.
Unreal, some of these youth unemployment numbers. Yeah. Rates we haven't seen since recession times.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible. So when you're talking about the first-time home buyers,
absolutely,
they can't buy now. Go back to the generation before that, the ones that looking for that first-time experience in order to get them a job and some life experience to progress up through the ladder, they're not even getting that now.
No, it's staggering. Those numbers are staggering and heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because if you want to talk about hope, that's the demographic of people that are really starting to lose hope. So they've done all the right things. They've graduated, they've invested in their college program or their university program, and they have nothing. I mean, that's not the Canada that we want to live in. It's very, very disheartening to see those. And again, to bring it back to where I live, we have a huge problem with out-migration. So we have these very talented young people that grow up in our communities, they don't want to leave their families, but they end up having to go to Alberta, where the economy is a little bit stronger because they can't get that good first job. And now we've got a national crisis built on top of this. It's a bleak outlook and future for our young people. We need to fight for our young people to have a good start in life.
Absolutely. So look at all the companies that have announced that. Car manufacturing says that they're pulling production out. We have Imperial Oil leaving Calgary. CEO of Enbridge saying Canada is in its own way. In terms of being a global superpower. We've had out in British Columbia lumber mills close. Like, these are staggering numbers.
Absolutely.
That all compounded, right? Like, and it's weird dynamic too. Usually when you have this kind of thing, you see a change in prices, right? Because demand starts to, start to
Suppress,
fall.
yeah.
So, the price comes down too. But now, because of inflation, it's still up there.
Yeah.
It's still high.
Oh, yeah. People are getting pressed on every end.
Yeah.
And, we're all connected in the country, right? So when things are going bad in Alberta, things are also going bad in Newfoundland. We have a huge amount of people that commute back and forth, right? And it's a great thing for Newfoundland and Labrador on the one hand, because they make money in Alberta and they come back and they spend it in Newfoundland and Labrador, but our families end up being separated, right? And I think you're going to start to see this dynamic in other places of the country. We've felt it for a long time, but when families get separated, that's not the life that they want to live. So we see investment going south of the border. Like, what kind of situations and choices are families going to have to make? Are we going to start to see our people start to move south of the border now as well? I mean, we've seen it play out in our province, so we don't even really know what the implications of all this might be long term.
I think that's the other thing, and we're pretty much out of time, but the brain drain is real. It is. We're seeing migration already of people that want to innovate or with certain skills and talents that want to move in other areas of the world for a better opportunity.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And British Columbia, people are leaving there in droves. Like, this is something that wasn't present 10 years ago.
No.
Right? Like, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Pretty much out of time, unfortunately. I'd love to keep talking to you. I really would, but I think the production crew is going to kick me out here. I always give the guests the last word, so the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I guess as a newly elected MP, this has been an honor to serve the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. And, I just want to let all of my constituents know that I will continue to raise the voices of the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. I think for a long time they've felt that their voices have not been heard. And I want to make sure I maximize this opportunity in the time that I have to bring their concerns and their voices to light. And that will always be something that will be at the forefront of my time here in Ottawa.
Fantastic. Well, I think you're a great advocate.
Thank you.
Carol Anstey, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Member of Parliament for Long Range Mountains in the beautiful, beautiful province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Thank you for your time as well. Don't forget, we will have new content for you every single Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this program. Until next week, remember, low taxes, less government, more freedom. That's the blueprint.